You sat emotionless until the verdict was returned. You seemed to have no ethos, no regret, no sorrow, no empathy. You are for you and no one else. You are a very dangerous and a damaged human being.
This is The Vanishing Record. Today's case unravels the tragic downfall of a teenage relationship, one that spiraled from affection to obsession, and ultimately to a moment of unthinkable violence. It's a heartbreaking reminder of how quickly young lives can be destroyed when control and jealousy take over. Let's take a closer look. Just before 2 p.m., on May 9th, 2019, Stephanie Juga left her home in Kenosha, Wisconsin, to pick up her 15-year-old daughter, Kaylie. She worked from home as a photographer, so she usually handled the school runs. Stephanie and her husband, Nick, had 3 children: Tyler, who already lived on his own, Kaylie, and 11-year-old Mason. Around 2:20 p.m., Stephanie and Kaylie arrived home, opened the garage, and went inside. They played music, danced, and enjoyed their usual mother-daughter time. A few minutes later, Kaylie went to her room to get ready for her part-time job. Stephanie went to the master bathroom to finish drying her hair. At 3 p.m., gunshots cut through the sound of the hairdryer. Screaming followed. At 3:02 p.m., Stephanie called 911.
Somebody just came in, shot me twice, and she just killed my daughter. Okay. 14.
Locked inside the master suite, Stephanie didn't know how badly Kaylie was hurt. She was afraid to leave the room in case the shooter was still in the house. But Stephanie believed she already knew who the shooter was: Kaylie's ex-boyfriend.
Oh my God, you said it's her ex-boyfriend? Yeah. You know where he is? No, I don't think I'm losing my feet for what? Please. Okay, how old are you? I'm 38, 39. Oh my God. I need your help. Run away. Please. I'm getting you help. You don't know where he is? No, I'm not going to. Oh my God. Okay, you think he took off running? I think. I don't know where he is.
Stephanie couldn't be sure. But police would later confirm that the shooter had already fled before she called 911. The attack was over, though she didn't know that at the time. Still unsure, Stephanie left the safety of the bathroom and ran to Kaylie's room. There, she found her daughter on the floor.
Okay, where is your daughter? She's in the bedroom? Okay, what is his name again? Martice Fuller. F-U-L-L-E-R. Martice Fuller. Is there a vehicle or did he come on foot, you know? There's a lot of people coming. A lot. They're gonna come help you, okay? Oh my God. How old is this Martice?
Deputies from the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department arrived quickly with EMTs. They found Stephanie Juga in the bedroom with Kaylie. Stephanie had been shot in the left arm, just above the wrist, and a second bullet had struck her right side. Despite her injuries, she was performing CPR on her daughter. Kaylie was moved to the front yard for emergency treatment, while Stephanie was taken to a nearby hospital only a few blocks away. But even with the fast response and the close hospital, Kaylie's injuries were too severe. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The Milwaukee County Medical Examiner determined that Kaylie had suffered 4 gunshot wounds to the chest and a 5th to the head. Medical staff later explained that even if a full surgical team had been standing inside her bedroom at the moment she was shot, nothing could have saved her. Stephanie Juga survived, but only after multiple surgeries to her arm, chest, and abdomen. As soon as she was stable enough to speak, she told detectives what she had heard just before she was attacked: a blood-curdling scream, followed by a gunshot from Kaylie's room. When she ran to check, she saw someone standing in the doorway. her daughter's ex-boyfriend, 15-year-old Martice Fuller. Stephanie begged him, saying, "You don't have to do this." He answered, "Yes, I have to," then raised his arm and fired. Stephanie retreated behind her bedroom door, but the shooter kicked it open and fired again. She managed to escape deeper into the master suite and lock herself inside the bathroom, where she made 2 phone calls. First to her husband, and then to 911. Investigators searching the home initially found 6 shell casings, but quickly realized there had been 7 shots. The final casing was discovered under a console table at the bottom of the stairs. They also found blood droplets, a bullet on the stairway, and damaged furniture from when officers forced open a locked bedroom to make sure the shooter wasn't hiding. 15-year-old Kaylie Juga was a varsity cheerleader, a softball player, and an honor roll student at Bradford High School. Kaylie excelled at anything she set her mind to. She was full of energy and passion, especially when it came to music and dance. In their grief, her friends and family always spoke about her contagious laughter. Kaylie was the type to start telling a joke, burst into uncontrollable giggles, and have everyone else laughing to tears, long before she ever reached the punchline. It was impossible not to feel joy around her.
She would always make a room light up with her smile anytime, or her laugh. Her laugh is, you can always remember her laugh. I can hear it all the time. You know, it's very memorable.
She was such a loving person. Kaylie loved cheer. She loved being with her friends. She was just a bubbly person. She made everything a great time.
Kaylie's fellow cheerleaders honored their friend with a special routine, followed by a moment of silence. The memorial was initially blocked by the local school board, who claimed they could not proceed for legal reasons. Because 2 students under their authority were involved, Kaylie Juga and Martice Fuller, the board stated that they could not appear to favor one side.
My wife was shot, trying to give CPR to my daughter who was murdered. And they can't do a moment of silence or a 5-minute cheer? Ridiculous.
In the face of overwhelming public outrage over their decision, the school board reversed course, and the memorial was ultimately allowed to proceed.
Glad this was able to happen, and I'm glad to see that everyone came out for Kaylie, and that I love her and that I'll always miss her.
After the murder, the shooter, believed to be Martice Fuller, fled the scene. Despite the chaos, Stephanie Juga was able to identify him immediately. Martice had entered the family's life a year earlier, and when Kaylie first brought him home, he seemed like a polite, promising athlete with plans for college. He played basketball and was the football team's quarterback, while Kaylie was a cheerleader. For months, he became almost part of the Juga household, joining family dinners, watching movies with them, attending Mason's games, and even spending Christmas there. But the relationship soon turned unhealthy. Martice demanded constant contact, keeping Kaylie on video call at home and blowing up her phone whenever she went out. Even after Stephanie confronted him about how disruptive this was, he dismissed her concerns and continued his obsessive behavior. Meanwhile, rumors spread quickly among the teens. Posts on social media claimed Martice had been spending time with another girl, and he responded by accusing Kaylie of the same. That summer, a friend commented to him, "Weren't you just hanging out with another girl yesterday? Kaylie deserves better." On X, still Twitter at the time, Kaylie posted in frustration, "I didn't do anything. Can never believe me. I swear to God. Sick and tired of this." The other girl chimed in as well. "Me or Kaylie? Elmau, wait, you cheated on both of us. And funny, because he was with me yesterday." At school, Martice's controlling behavior escalated. One incident in the hallway at Bradford High turned frightening when he blocked Kaylie and demanded her phone. School security had to intervene and physically restrain him, leaving Kaylie in tears. The school ordered Martice to stay away from her. Their schedules were changed, and he was warned that another outburst would mean expulsion, no sports, no scholarships, and no contact with Kaylie Juga. In February, he violated that agreement. He cornered Kaylie again, this time in front of teachers and on camera. Martice denied the incident, but he was expelled and reportedly furious. By spring, Kaylie ended the relationship. She had previously minimized Martice's behavior, but after his expulsion, she spoke out online about him taking advantage of her. Martice responded by stalking her, pacing outside the Juga home, watching her window and calling nonstop. After Kaylie blocked him, he used friends' phones to reach her, forcing her to block those numbers as well. Kaylie and her friends stopped posting selfies or sharing their plans online, afraid Martice would see their location and show up uninvited. Kaylie quit her job at the laundromat because she no longer felt safe. Even with the owner blocking Martice's number and letting her keep the doors locked, she was still scared. In April, she left a note saying she needed a job where he wouldn't know her location, and soon found new work. After the shooting, police searched for Martice. He hadn't been living at his mother's house, despite her claiming he was with her from noon to 3 p.m., the time of the murder. A friend, Alexis, told investigators he stayed at her home the night before, and she dropped him off at another friend's place around 1 p.m. near the Juga home. When she picked him up at 3:30, he looked upset, and his white shoes were now very dirty. The next morning, Kenosha police received a call from Martice's cousin, Anise Andrews, in Rhine. She said Martice unexpectedly showed up at her home around 9 p.m. the night before. She let him stay for a few hours to see family, but when he refused to leave, she turned him in.
You know what you gotta do. You can't keep waiting. You can't keep standing around here. I know you want to see your family and everything, but the time is almost up. Anything could happen to you at this point. He really didn't want to speak on the situation. I was just trying to calm him down and just trying to figure out what was going on in your mind that you did something like that. Because I know my cousin, he's 15 years old. He is not that type of person. I wouldn't wish this on nobody, and I feel like how I am with both sides of the family. I wouldn't want my 16-year-old daughter getting shot and killed in her own home, and my 15-year-old cousin might get sentenced for life. So right now, it's just, my head is everywhere.
At first, Ananise told police she only turned Martice in because they were looking for him and didn't believe he could have done it. But when detectives appealed to her as a mother, she paused and said she had more information. Back inside, she revealed that Martice had confessed to her the night before. Surveillance footage later confirmed everything she described. Around 2 p.m., Alexis dropped Martice at a friend's house near the Juga home. Cameras showed him arriving in a gray hoodie, jeans, white sneakers, and a black backpack, then leaving on a bike. A doorbell camera caught someone matching his appearance biking toward Kaylie's house. Across from the home, he hid in the trees at Horizon Park, left his bike there, changed clothes, and watched the house. He told Ananise he planned to shoot Kay once or twice. He saw Stephanie and Kay return through the garage, knowing Nick was at work and Mason was still at school. Another camera captured a figure dressed in black, without the backpack but still wearing white shoes, approaching the house and slipping under the garage camera before entering through the open door. After entering the house, the attacker remained inside for about 90 seconds before the gunshots began. One shot was heard, then another 16 seconds later, followed by several more, 7 in total. The intruder stayed in the home for just 3 minutes and 40 seconds before running out of the garage and sprinting back toward Horizon Park. The same Nest doorbell camera that had earlier recorded the hooded rider passing slowly now captured him racing by in only 2 seconds, heading the opposite direction. He was back in the gray hoodie, indicating he had changed clothes again before fleeing. The footage showed him returning at 3:04 p.m., just 2 minutes after Stephanie's 911 call, exactly as Annalise had described. Martice Fuller was charged with first-degree intentional homicide and attempted first-degree homicide. His trial was set for February 2020, but before it began, he faced new allegations. Prosecutors claimed that Martice, with help from some family members, tried to tamper with the jury.
We were monitoring some jail phone calls from the defendant. The allegation is that the defendant got the names off of a chart of the potential jurors, that the defendant then memorized those names and made some assumptions about who was related to those individuals, and then began to try to contact people to get in touch with them. The supreme seriousness of something like that is that it really deals with the whole integrity of a jury trial.
At a pre-trial hearing, Martice's mother, Elise Fuller, was arrested after an outburst in the courtroom. Officials said she would likely be charged with obstructing an officer. The exact words she shouted were never reported.
On May 9th of 2019, the unimaginable happened to the Juga family. A person that they shared Christmas Day with, that they opened their home and their hearts to, and let him share time with their precious daughter, took her life. And he looked at Stephanie Juga in the face after all their time together and tried to take her life too. And when she tried to reason with him, he told her, "Yes, I do," and shot her twice.
Between March and May of 2019, Martice Fuller's life was in chaos. He had been expelled from Bradford High School, unable to play football, and ultimately, due to a fight with his family, he found himself homeless. He was transient. He didn't have a cell phone that had a cellular connection. He was forced to rely on using Wi-Fi when he could have internet at various locations. He found himself begging, relying on friends for rides because he was 15. He couldn't drive. He didn't have a car. During this time period, Martice was frequently frantic. He was overwhelmed. He was a 15-year-old child trying to survive.
The prosecution presented two timelines. Kaylie's, showing her efforts to escape a toxic relationship and stay safe, and Martice Fuller's, showing his growing anger as he lost control over her and his own life. In the week before the murder, Martice tried to get a gun and ammunition, eventually obtaining both. He even posed for photos with the handgun. 3 days before the shooting, he told a friend that Kaylie had ruined his life and that he wanted to kill her. 2 days before, he searched her Facebook page, took a bike from a friend, and hid it near the Juga home. He then began staking out the street, watching her bedroom window day and night. On May 9th, the day of the murder, Martice contacted his friend Desiree, asking her to do that hit with him. She knew exactly what he meant. He had already brought it up twice earlier that week. He wanted Kaylie dead. When asked later, she confirmed that Martice had indeed suggested harming his ex-girlfriend.
Make any suggestions about what he wanted to do to his ex-girlfriend?
Yes.
What did he say?
That he wanted to kill her.
What did you say to that?
I listened.
And do you remember what his message to you was?
To do the hit with him.
What did you understand that to mean?
The obvious, to kill her.
To kill the ex-girlfriend like he had talked about the day before?
Yes. It says, "I'm so mad, you need to do that to her."
Say that again?
"I'm so mad, you need to do that to her."
And what is the day and time that that message was sent to you?
Thursday at 11:52 a.m.
Thank you.
Desiree refused to join Martice Fuller's plan, but didn't report it until after Kaylie was killed. When she testified, she was already in a juvenile facility on unrelated charges. With help from Martice's cousin, Dantrell Seymour, police located the murder weapon in a Racine sewer, wrapped in a diaper. The black hoodie and white shoes he wore were never found and were likely tossed in another sewer. Investigators did recover the rest of his clothes and the black backpack seen on surveillance when a niece turned him in the next day. At trial, Assistant Principal Jill Schwensen described Martice Fuller's behavior before his expulsion. Even with years of dealing with difficult and violent teens, she said Martice scared her. He was furious about being kept away from Kaylie, and after violating that agreement and learning he'd be expelled, he repeatedly called every school office demanding she reverse the decision, refusing to accept it until she finally hung up on him.
He was very angry with me. He called me a liar. He told me that I didn't know what I was talking about or what I had seen. He put his finger in my face. We had to take a break for him to take a walk. Ultimately, we had to call Dad to convince him to sign it.
Did his father come or did he just talk to him over the phone?
He spoke to him over the phone. I had told both students that I was going to split them up. They had several classes together, and Martice did not want that to happen. And there was a day during his suspension that he was calling every office in the school building, trying to get to me so he could convince me not to change their schedules. Students are usually not very happy with me when they meet with me because it's my job to do discipline. However, this was an extreme case for me. I was scared.
You were scared of Martice?
Yes. I explained to him that this is what was going to happen. He kept trying to tell me that that's not what Kaylie wanted, that that's not what he wanted, that it wasn't as bad as what I thought. I ultimately had to hang up the phone on him because he would not stop talking.
Martice's defense tried to challenge what appeared to be an overwhelming case against him. They suggested that in the chaos of the attack, Stephanie Juga might have misidentified her daughter's ex-boyfriend, assuming it was Martice because of the ongoing conflict between him and the family, even if the intruder had actually been a stranger. They argued that once she named him, investigators never looked at any other suspects. But Stephanie Juga's testimony was strong and left little room for doubt.
And I went running out of my bathroom, through my bedroom, and stopped in the doorway of my bedroom. Facing me was Martice with a gun.
Did you say anything to him when you saw him?
I did. I stopped in my doorway and I looked at him and I said, "Oh my God, Martice." I said, "Please, you don't have to do this." And he looked at me and he said, "Yes, I do." So then I tried to start doing CPR as fast as I could.
And was that, were you able to do that having been shot in your own wrist?
At that moment, it was very painful, but I didn't care. Trying to save her was more important.
Did your daughter die as a result of those shots?
She did. Yes.
Right there on the lawn or earlier?
I think she died in her room.
Annie's told jurors about the confession her cousin made on the night of the murder. She said it was strange that he even showed up at her house. They were family, but never close. She simply listened as he told her what had happened. Early the next morning, she called the police.
The detectives were telling me to put my daughter in their shoes and to see how I would feel about something happening like that to my daughter.
Do you remember what additional things you told the officer at that time? So what did you say that the defendant, Martice Fuller, had told you about what happened at the Juga house that day?
Well, he told me that he was watching her house for quite a while, and that he knew when she would be alone at her house. And then he said that when he walked in, they were listening to music, and her Kaylie was in her room, and the door cracked or something like that. And he said that he shot at her once, and he freaked out, and he snapped and shot at the mom twice.
The defense presented no witnesses, and Martice didn't testify. Prosecutors argued that his innocence would require a string of impossible coincidences, a misidentification, a cousin who somehow knew key details early, and a confession that later matched the evidence.
What a horrible coincidence if you're an innocent person. And then, here's a horrible coincidence. It's a cousin of yours who takes the police, who otherwise are never going to find this gun, to a sewer in Racine where they find the very gun that is the murder weapon. Okay, so you didn't kill her, but your cousin is able to lead police to the murder weapon, which looks identical to a picture we have of you with the same gun and to what your friend says is the gun you showed him just days before the murder.
The defense's final argument was that the timeline made no sense. The shooter couldn't leave the Juga home, run to the park to change clothes, and then appear on camera riding a bike just 4 minutes later. Prosecutors countered that the timing worked perfectly. The sprint from the house to the park was under a minute, the bike ride about 30-40 seconds, leaving several minutes to change out of the warm-up suit designed to slip off quickly.
The verdicts read as follows. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count 1 of the information. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of attempted first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count 2 of the information, dated today and signed by the foreperson.
After the verdict was read, Martice looked toward his family. Then the reality seemed to hit. At just 16, he was likely to spend the rest of his life in prison. A minute later, he pulled off his mask and broke down in tears. At sentencing, Martice had his attorney read a statement in which he said he was sorry for what happened to Kay, but still claimed he was innocent of murder.
Truthfully, I am sorry about the pain you've all suffered through, but more importantly, the loss of my ex-girlfriend Kaylie that I loved too. So I am sorry. Despite the hatred that is against me, I still am sorry. But I have to continue to stand innocent because I am. And I know that I've barely showed emotion throughout my time, but in all honesty, it is because it's hard to have tears left to cry knowing my mom lost a son, one of her children too.
You sat emotionless until the verdict was returned. You seemed to have no ethos, no regret, no sorrow, no empathy. You are for you and no one else. You are a very dangerous and a damaged human being.
Martice Fuller was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. He is now serving his time at the Green Bay Correctional Institution in Wisconsin, where his family visits him often. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this story informative, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you more true crime cases. See you in the next video.